Hi, in this second of two videos, I would like to present levels of anti-Semitic intensity within the general community. In the diagram here, it would be inside the volcano. The highest level of anti-Semitic intensity within the community is the covert nefarious. This anti-Semitic level is under the surface, masquerading as something else. Because it resembles a conspiracy theory, exposing a covert nefarious plot makes the targeted individual appear paranoid. When there is only the targeted individual's word to defend themselves, the offender can easily deny, deflect, subvert, or lie about what they did and get away with it, leaving the targeted individual appearing paranoid. The consequence of these plot dynamics is the targeted individuals are reluctant to expose their experiences. They are first being shamed by the offender and then by the critics. This is what covert nefarious level of intensity look like. There are two examples here, one famous and one from my own experience. The famous one is the Dreyfus affair. Dreyfus was a Jewish officer in the French military who was charged with treason that he didn't commit. The legal system failed to exonerate him even after the true offender was found. He was eventually released from prison for technicality after his case was exposed and the Jewish community intervened on his behalf. The second example here is from my own encounter with anti-Semitism in an art museum in San Diego, which follows the same plot dynamics and appears to be quite common. The decision to target me was made way before my offender found the excuses for it, and when push came to shove, there was only my word to defend myself. Furthermore, as expected, exposing my experience brought out the critics who didn't spare me any insult. There are three conclusions that we can draw from this level of intensity, which seem to apply to many other similar plots. 1. The covert nefarious level of intensity can be devastating in one way or another. 2. The legal system is useless in resolving anti-Semitic plots. And 3. It takes a Jewish community intervention to find the right leverage for resolving it. The next two lower intensity levels are the overt and covert naive ones. People in the overt naive level are not aware that what they say or do is anti-Semitic because it feels normal, and people in the covert naive level just go along to get along in their community groups with no questions asked. Because those are low level of intensity, they are very easily overlooked or tolerated. But I would like to make the point that they are very important, if only because they include most of the general population. Because the offenses are so normalized, the offenders may not see them as anything offensive, in the same way that fish might not see water. There were numerous occasions when I heard people state, "There is no anti-Semitism in San Diego," when the statistics show not only the opposite, but also a big leap upwards in reported encounters. This is what the overt and covert naive levels of intensity look like. Not the photos, but the statement quoted here are from my experience at the art museum. The manager of the docent program on one occasion said to me, "You don't know how to be an American. You don't understand American culture. You don't fit in American culture. At that time, it sounded as statements relating to discrimination, which was common at the museum, and I issued a complaint about it, resulting in a temporary relief. But then, after a trainee said to me that the Jews are very powerful, which is why everybody is afraid of them, and the manager made it personal by saying to me, "You are very powerful, which is why everybody is afraid of you," it became clear to me that I became a target for antisemitism. I took this statement to the museum's human resources administrator, but instead of achieving further relief, her response was that antisemitism is a part of the museum community diversity. In other words, she clearly validated that antisemitism, at least at this museum, has been completely normalized. Her recommendation to me was to go along, to get along. What sealed my awareness of the phenomena of anti-Semitic normalization at the museum was the executive director not being open for a meaningful discussion about anti-Semitism based on my experience there. Her reply to my request was a single sentence: "They have the right to hate you." Legally, she was correct. Individuals are allowed by law to express their hatred, but socially, she was completely out of line. While requiring tolerance and sensitivity from others, she demonstrated exactly the opposite. Since starting to advocate against anti-Semitism in the community, people started to share similar experiences with me, which convinced me that this kind of places where anti-Semitism is normalized is where we need to do most of our work. We may never be able to end anti-Semitism per se, but we may be able to render it abnormal, as we did, for example, with racism and misogynism. One thing becomes very clear: our battle with anti-Semitism is clearly a battle with the normalization of anti-Semitism. This means that we can't let any offender get away with their offenses without at least hearing what we have to say to them. It also means that it would take a community intervention to find the right leverage to get the offenders at least into a meaningful conversation about anti-Semitism. Next to the battle with the normalization of anti-Semitism in the general community, we also need to battle our own mindset in our own Jewish communities. In a Jewish event not long ago, the leading facilitator, at my request, asked people in the audience to raise a hand if they experience anti-Semitism in the general community. Not surprisingly, all participants raised a hand. The facilitator then said to me, "You see, we all experience it. So what? There is nothing we can do about it." In another Jewish event, one of the leading rabbis had a similar response, saying, "Those incidents of microaggression are too insignificant for us to worry about them." But I must emphasize that this is exactly the mindset that allows the normalization of anti-Semitism to continue as usual. If we go to battle with this mindset, we lose the battle before it started. What I would like to leave you with is the understanding that battling the normalization of anti-Semitism in the community is a non-legal battle in which every one of us can take a part. We need to change the anti-Semitic mindset in the general community, as well as in our own defeatist mindset within the Jewish community. Because based on the statistics, this is a battle that we can no longer afford to lose. If you didn't know, now you know. Bye.